Hey friends, nothing fancy with video production here. I'm actually doing dishes in my kitchen as we speak, but I just had this thought for those of you that are desiring to move into vocational ministry, and I thought you might find it helpful, so let me share. Now, I have these different friends in ministry and young pastors and such, and sometimes they reach out with this what do you think kind of thing. They want to run a scenario past me. And I'm not going to tell anybody's specific story, but here's a basic scenario. There's this large church, and they offered this really talented young professional a position on staff. And now they're super excited because they really have a heart and a call for ministry. They love the mission that this church is on. But the dilemma is that they're being offered a salary that's right around the poverty line, and they have a family to provide for. So it would require a massive financial sacrifice to say yes to this. So my question upon hearing this was, do they have to pay you so little? And here's why that's an important question. Because yes, there are times when we're called to step out in faith because of the mission that God is calling us to. And in some situations, that might mean that you get paid cents on the dollar that you're currently making. But this is a contextual thing. It's not a principle. For example, contextual. I have friends pouring their lives into impoverished communities from the backwoods of West Virginia to really urban settings. And then I have friends who are in the mission field overseas. They're living in thatched huts in Western Africa among the people instead of being kind of cloistered off in these privileged neighborhoods. They're situations that require huge sacrifice in order to follow that call of God and become that living incarnation of Christ to these people. And this is amazing. It's admirable. There's rewards in heaven for these beautiful people. But again, this is contextual. It's not a principle. In other words, just because you're investing your vocational time and talents into a faith-based organization's mission and vision does not mean that you should get paid next to nothing for it. Or put plainly, just because you're on staff at a church does not mean you should automatically get paid less than your professional value. In fact, a worker getting paid less than their value is far from biblical. Just look at both Old and New Covenant instructions to people of faith, from Leviticus 19 and Deuteronomy 24, all the way to Luke 10 and 1 Timothy 5. These all very directly say that a worker is worthy of their wage. In other words, it's unjust for the payee to be given less than their value if it is in the power of the payer to give them what they're worth. And this might be kind of a hard concept for some of us to deal with, because I know for years I really embraced this principle of poverty when it came to ministry until I realized that this wasn't even biblical. In fact, it's contrary to what the Bible says. So here's the deal. Yes, there will be times when honoring God means that an individual has to sacrifice for the purposes of God in and through their life. And Lord knows our gospel is not one of comfort and entitlement. That's not the point. But churches need to be careful with this one, because honoring God can also mean paying your people what their God-given talents are worth. I mean, can you imagine walking up to the artist of a beautiful painting and offering them half of what their work is worth? It's pretty dishonoring, right? Well, I kind of see this the same way. The gifts God has given you are not junk. You are valuable. For someone to belittle that is no different than lowballing the artist's work. So, dear church leaders, if you are not paying your people what they're worth, while it is in your power to do so, man, I would really encourage you to reevaluate your entire mission. I'd really take this serious. Because a cause that uses people as a means to an end is never a Christ-like one. So those are my thoughts. I'd love to hear yours too. Let's talk about it.